Welcome, everyone. This is Betska, the Guru Coach, with my handsome blue-haired co-host, Raj Vashisht. Raj is from India. I am from Canada, and we are Mindful Leadership Beyond Borders. We have guests from all around the world, and wow, what amazing discussions we have. And today we have a delightful woman from Oklahoma. Her name is Amanda Younts, and Oklahoma, by the way, is in the US of A.
Pink, pink, pink today.
Yeah, we're all in pink, pink, pink today.
Yes.
Yes. So we think we're working on the heart chakra, which is, boy, does this world ever need that, including us? All right, so let me introduce her. Amanda is a catalyst for midlife transformation, and she's going to answer my question on what does that really mean in a moment, in case you're wondering. She empowers leaders and organizations to navigate change with clarity and confidence. Wonderful. Every organization needs that. She has over 20 years in public school leadership, disability advocacy, and training in clinical psychology. She brings a holistic approach to growth. Her work focuses on behavioral change, very important, organizational wellness, again, very important, and personal agency. I'm assuming that means taking control of your own life and your behaviors and so on, right? Helping people lead with authenticity and strength. Yeah, we need all that. Amanda leads workshops on grief, recovery, and reinvention. She hosts a thought-provoking podcast herself called The Midlife Catalyst. Look it up. And she shares practical insights. Her grounded, relatable style inspires others to embrace change and thrive in both work and life. So let's welcome Amanda Younts from Oklahoma. So let's dive right in here. Amanda, what does catalyst for midlife transformation mean? I'm curious about that.
Well, I wanted a different take on midlife crisis. So, as you stated, I have over 20 years in public education. A year ago, I left a very desirable role to a lot of people. It looked like I had a great life and I had, finances covered and all of the things. And so, what I knew for a long time, though, was that I was not happy and not feeling content in the work I was doing, where I was. I was playing a role and I was playing it really well, but it wasn't where I could really live in peace. And so to the outside world, it appeared I was indeed having a crisis, right? Who would leave retirement and who would leave a guaranteed paycheck and this thing that we're sold in America of you're working towards retirement?
Yeah, yeah.
And that sounded very daunting to me because 6 years ago, I lost both of my parents in a very quick manner to cancer.
Oh, gosh.
And within a year of each other. And so I saw people that were relatively young and didn't get to enjoy a retirement. And so
Oh.
why would I encourage other people, to keep going even though you're not happy now because you will be in retirement? Why can't we have both? Why can't we be self-actualized and happy? And I don't really buy into the construct of happy, but content and at peace and calm where you're not
Yeah,
in this
yeah.
discord all the time. So it wasn't a crisis at all. I knew exactly what I was doing. It was stepping into my true purpose and kind of catalyst, of using some pretty dark events that happened in my life to decide, oh, I want to live differently. And
Mm-hmm.
and that's where it came from.
Yeah, well, good for you. I'm sure your comments will encourage others
Happy
your
leadership.
age. What's that, Raj?
Happy leadership.
Yeah,
And
you made it.
it's a
No, go
thing
ahead.
of you don't necessarily. I was in a position that I could walk away from a job. That's not even the people I work with. You don't have to necessarily leave a job, leave a marriage, leave all your
Mm,
things behind to be able to start to make some of those transformations and changes in your life. Even
yeah.
just changing
Yeah.
your hair, right? And then
Hmm.
people are like, "What are you doing? Are you having a crisis?" No, I'm checking this out to see if I can step into my purpose.
It's really true. I salute you for thinking that way. I've always been a warrior my whole life. So I always try new things. Raj and I are always doing wild and wonderful things, in our podcast,
Yes,
and it's good. I mean, it keeps things fresh and exciting. Otherwise, you become stale, a stale human
yes,
being.
you
Yeah,
do, and you don't continue to grow and learn
yeah.
and evolve, and that's
Mm.
really I've always been kind of wanting to know more and
And
just
Yeah.
boring. Life is so boring sometimes, so boring.
yeah,
If you are doing
It's
same, if you're not doing new different, because same day you are eating, wearing good clothes, like same, it's sometimes very pity and boring. I
yeah,
thought, to be very
yeah.
honest.
I agree. Change it
That
up. We have to change it up.
that is why
right. And
that is why I always try to change clothes, fashion, dance, music, so I can feel more energetic from my inside.
Amanda, Raj is a wild man. I want you to know.
I love it. Well, and it's finding that joy in those things, right? Like you
Yeah.
don't need a big like vacation or a big something that
Yeah,
costs a lot of money. Let's just change up our routine
you're right.
Yeah.
and to continue kind of that even kill happiness. Because
Yeah.
I see a
Absolutely.
lot of people in the peaks
Yeah.
and valleys, and we need to be in a more just kind of flat, stable
I'm
place.
Yeah.
I'm giving you an example. One of my friends, he's traveling very frequently, every 3 months around the world. After that, also he's always unhappy, and he feel I am exhausted.
Oh,
So you're right. You are. I have seen so many articles also like Betska. You are living in the same place, but you can create your own way lifestyle. So you feel
oh,
always
yes.
happy. Because
Yeah,
when we are
absolutely.
unhappy and we are
Yeah.
traveling, so when we will come back, then again we are unhappy. So we are
Yes.
Yeah.
actually we are running from our actual problem, root cause, and we are hiding.
Ah, good point. We're
Yep.
running away from it. Wow. Good point, Raj.
Yeah.
So let's talk about you. In your intro, you say you lead workshops on grief recovery and reinvention. And I know from our own research here at Coaching and Leadership that trauma can really cause us a lot of grief and hidden trauma. And you mentioned both your parents passing within a year of each other of cancer. I can't imagine what you went through there. I mean, that would have been extremely difficult. What are some other traumas that cause people grief? And I guess even that discussion on grief is, you know, um, different levels of grief. I mean, losing a child would just
Hmm.
be the worst
Oh,
thing.
Oh my
You know,
gosh.
unbearable.
like the
And
Texas
yeah,
floods,
right.
right?
Yeah. Well, and
Ah,
weather, I'm in Oklahoma and we've had a fair share of tornadoes that have caused sudden loss and great
yeah,
deal of grief. And
yeah,
it is pretty traumatic here anytime we get a warning. People, it brings up those feelings, to people.
yeah. Mm.
And so very similar with the Texas floods. I know I have friends that, 6 years ago on that very same river, similar things happened. And so,
Really?
yes.
Oh,
So someone's sending us a warning, right? Like
yes,
there are things that
yeah,
that we need to pay attention to. But as
yeah.
far as the grief and the traumas, it can be, things such as weather or
Uh,
even um, we talked about a loss of a job. I don't think
yeah.
enough is given to that. because so much of that is tied up and wrapped into people's identity, which really is the crux of the work that we do. So you've had this loss and this traumatic event, and it's not just grieving the person, it's grieving that disappointment of those unfulfilled dreams and expectations, but that loss of identity. You're no longer viewed as a mother, or no longer viewed as a CEO when that title's gone. You're no longer viewed as a wife when you get a divorce. So how those roles and language play into things is part of the healing and the processing.
Even losing money in the stock market, just thinking about how the stock market has been going up and down, that for people could cause a lot of grief. They're worrying about how they're going to pay their mortgage, or, there's a lot to that.
Yes.
And spiritual grief too. Maybe they've lost faith in God, or lost faith in their, whether they believe in Christ or Buddha or whomever, right? Maybe they've lost faith in that master. I mean, it's huge. Or even grief on a social level. With COVID, people weren't able to socialize as much, and people are still funny around that. And yesterday I was picking blueberries. We have a blueberry bush in the front of our house. I don't know how it got there, but it's there. Anyway, so I'm picking the blueberries. Excuse me. And a guy drives by. A friend of ours drives by, stops the car, and he said, "What you doing?" I said, "Picking blueberries." And anyway, the conversation led to the fact that he's got COVID again. And he's tested twice for it, and so on. And so having COVID again, for example, is just can cause us so much grief, because it stops us in our tracks, and we go, for example, we talked about vaccinations, right? He's had all the vaccinations and it hasn't helped him. I said, "I didn't have any vaccinations," blah, blah, blah. So we had that whole conversation. And anyway, so in all seven areas of life, we can have grief.
Right.
And usually the root cause of that can, come from various traumas. That even COVID itself was traumatic.
Yes.
So it's pretty wild. So let's move on. Another question that you developed for us here today was, why do you encourage people to share their stories and live authentically when it could be used against them as leaders? I found that I was taken aback at that question. That is something that we should discuss here today, but clearly it's important to you. So tell us.
I truly believe and this is my belief, is we're put on, a lot of leaders put on a performance, and it's by those kind of societal expectations.
Okay.
And I have a friend that calls it the golden handcuffs, but the expectations of how you respond, what you wear, how you, really down to very specific details, rather than being unique humans and being able to not just play a part, but bringing your whole self to work. Because you end up in this split of, at home with my kids, and I'm this way, but then I have to flip the script and show up this way at work. And it's exhausting, right? When you talk about burnout, which is a huge buzzword, is because so much of that is the exhaustion of performing and always being on and not being able to share. I'm from the generation that started of, you don't bring your personal life into work, right? And I still in some way adhere to that, because that's how I was raised and grew up as a leader. But you can't not. We're whole people, and you can't not, when there is a trauma, there is a death that's going to impact how you show up at work. And we don't have to give every detail, but we need to be authentic and share how that impacts our work life.
But how could that, if you're authentic, how can that be used against you? I don't understand that.
I've seen it used against leaders when people that work under them take advantage or throw, throw things back in their face.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can definitely see that.
Yeah.
People take advantage of you.
And it really works around, we're humans, we're going to make mistakes. We're not always perfect, but the way you're viewed by your subordinates or those that work for you is you have to be perfect all the time, and you're not given that room.
Whew, that's tough.
To be a human.
That is really, really tough. Yeah. Okay, Amanda, we're going to take a short pause, and folks, come back. We have lots of exciting conversation coming up.